Once, Clara Evans had a life many would envy. A cozy little home, a steady job, and two beautiful daughters, Mia and Ella, who filled her days with laughter. Her world was simple but full of joy, a life she had carefully built with love and dedication. But life, as unpredictable as it is, had other plans. Her happiness came crashing down when her husband, Matt Harper, betrayed her in the cruelest way imaginable. He tricked Clara into signing over all their assets under the guise of financial planning. Before she could even grasp what had happened, Matt vanished, taking everything with him, her savings, her home, and the future she had envisioned for her family. Clara was left alone to pick up the shattered pieces, her once steady life now a distant memory. Now, Clara spends her days working grueling shifts at a small diner, doing her best to make ends meet. Her hands ache from wiping tables, her feet sore from standing long hours, but her heart carries the heaviest burden of all. Every day is a struggle to provide for her daughters, to keep them fed and warm, and to hide the pain she feels from them. Despite the crushing weight of her circumstances, Clara clings to a sliver of hope, determined not to let her daughters see her despair. That evening, after her shift, Clara sat outside the diner with Mia and Ella. The three of them huddled together, sharing a single sandwich she could barely afford. Clara forced a smile, trying to lighten the mood as her daughters giggled softly, unaware of the chilly night air biting at their fingers. She whispered comforting words, masking her heartbreak with a mother's resilience. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up nearby, its engine humming softly. Clara barely noticed until a man stepped out, calling her name. "Clara? Is that really you?" The voice, filled with shock and concern, made her look up. Standing there was Andrew Carter, an old friend from high school. Clara remembered Andrew as the shy, quiet boy who barely spoke in class. But now, he was unrecognizable. Confident, sharply dressed, and carrying an air of success that contrasted sharply with Clara's current reality. Embarrassed and unable to meet his gaze, Clara turned away, her cheeks burning with shame. Andrew, however, couldn't look away. The girl he had once admired in high school now looked tired and worn, her face etched with the struggles of survival. In that moment, Andrew knew this wasn't just a random encounter. It was a moment that demanded action, one that would change both of their lives forever. Andrew couldn't shake the disbelief that Clara, the once lively and vibrant girl he remembered from high school, was sitting before him in such a state. He stepped closer, his sharp suit and polished shoes a stark contrast to Clara's worn jacket and her daughter's threadbare clothes. His voice was soft, yet firm, laced with a mixture of concern and determination. "Clara, is it really you? What happened? You can't be out here like this." Clara avoided his gaze, her cheeks burning with shame. She instinctively pulled her daughters, Mia and Ella, closer to her, shielding them as if to protect them from the judgment she feared. "It's nothing, Andrew," she said weakly, her voice trembling as she fought to maintain her composure. "We're fine. You don't need to worry about us." But Andrew wasn't convinced. He saw through her words, saw the exhaustion etched into her face and the struggle in her every move. His eyes darted between Clara and the two little girls, their small hands clutching the sandwich they were sharing. The sight stirred something deep within him, a mix of anger at the injustice she was facing and a fierce determination to help. "Clara, this isn't fine. Please, let me help you," he urged, his voice steady and filled with sincerity. Clara hesitated, a battle raging inside her. She had spent months relying on no one but herself, scraping by through sheer willpower and determination. Accepting help felt like admitting defeat, a blow to the pride she had held onto so tightly despite everything she had lost. "Andrew, you've done so well for yourself. I can't be a burden to you," she said softly, her voice breaking as she glanced away. But Andrew's response was immediate and unwavering. "You're not a burden, Clara," he said firmly, stepping closer. "No one should have to go through this alone. Let me help you, even if it's just for tonight. You and the girls need a safe place to rest. Clara looked down at her daughters, who were shivering in the cold despite their attempts to stay cheerful. Mia's small hand was resting on her mother's lap, her big eyes filled with innocence and trust. Ella clung to her older sister, her tiny frame trembling slightly under the chill of the evening air. At that moment, Clara's protective instincts as a mother overpowered her pride. She exhaled shakily and nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "All right, Andrew, but just for tonight." A small, relieved smile spread across Andrew's face. "That's all I ask," he said gently, reaching down to pick up the girl's small bag of belongings. "Let's get you out of this cold." He guided Clara and her daughters to his sleek car, opening the door for them and helping them inside. The warmth of the car's heater enveloped them instantly, a welcome reprieve from the biting night air. Clara sat in silence, her mind swirling with emotions. Gratitude, apprehension, and a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in months. As they drove through the city, the streetlights casting a soft glow over the quiet streets, Andrew remained focused on the road. Every now and then, he glanced at Clara through the rearview mirror, his expression a mix of concern and quiet determination. He couldn't shake the image of her sitting on that curb, struggling to keep her daughters warm, and he vowed silently to himself that he wouldn't let her face this alone anymore. When they arrived at Andrew's home, Clara was momentarily stunned. The house was spacious and elegant, yet it exuded warmth and comfort. It wasn't the cold, unwelcoming luxury she had imagined, but a home filled with character and care. Andrew led them inside, his voice soft as he reassured her. "You don't have to worry about anything tonight. Just focus on resting." He showed them to a cozy guest room, where 2 small beds had already been prepared with fresh, warm blankets. On a nearby dresser were neatly folded clothes for the girls, and Clara noticed a soft glow from a nightlight that had been thoughtfully placed in the corner of the room. "Make yourselves at home," Andrew said with a smile. "If you need anything, just let me know." Mia and Ella climbed onto the beds, their tired faces lighting up as they felt the warmth of the blankets. For the first time in months, they lay down on soft mattresses, their small bodies finally relaxing as they drifted into peaceful sleep. Clara stood in the doorway, watching her daughters with a lump in her throat. She hadn't seen them this content in what felt like an eternity. As the girls slept soundly, Clara sat on the edge of her own bed, her hands trembling slightly as she processed the events of the evening. The weight of her struggles had pressed down on her for so long, but for the first time, she felt a tiny flicker of hope, a light breaking through the darkness. She glanced around the room, the warmth and care in every detail making her feel safe, even if only for a moment. Andrew knocked softly on the door, his voice gentle. "Everything okay?" Clara nodded, her voice quiet but filled with gratitude. "Yes, thank you, Andrew. I don't even know how to begin repaying you for this." Andrew shook his head. "You don't need to repay me, Clara. Sometimes, we all need someone to lean on. You've been strong for so long. Let someone else be strong for you." For the first time in a long time, Clara allowed herself to believe that things might get better. She didn't know what the future held, but tonight, as she watched her daughters sleep peacefully, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. The first few days in Andrew's home were a mix of relief and unease for Clara. While she was grateful for the warmth and security he provided, she couldn't shake the awkwardness of being in his space. Every time she walked through the spacious hallways or sat at the dining table, she felt out of place, like a visitor in a life that wasn't hers. The humility she had carried for so long made it hard for her to accept the kindness freely offered. Andrew, however, was patient and understanding. He never pressured Clara but always found small ways to make her feel at ease. One evening, as the girls played on the living room floor, he sat beside Clara with 2 steaming cups of tea. "You know," he began gently, "you don't have to carry this all on your own anymore. It's okay to let someone in." Clara hesitated, staring into her tea. "I don't even know where to start, Andrew," she admitted, her voice trembling. "It feels like I've lost everything, including who I used to be." Andrew gave her a soft smile. I don't think you've lost anything. It's still there, Clara. You just need a little push to find it again. Over the next few days, Andrew's encouragement began to break through Clara's walls. One evening, as they reminisced about their high school days, Andrew brought up a memory that had long been buried in Clara's mind. Do you remember those interior design projects you used to do in art class? You had such an eye for detail, he said, his tone full of admiration. Clara blinked, the memory slowly surfacing. She had loved designing spaces, creating beauty and harmony out of chaos. But those dreams felt like they belonged to a different life, a different version of herself. I haven't thought about that in years, she admitted, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Well, maybe it's time you did, Andrew said, leaning forward. What's stopping you from picking it up again? Clara hesitated. It's been so long. I don't even know if I'd be good at it anymore. Andrew's eyes softened. You'll never know unless you try. I can help you get started if it feels overwhelming. With Andrew's support, Clara decided to take the first step. He helped her research online interior design courses, even covering the tuition fees to ensure she could focus entirely on learning. First, Clara was nervous, doubting her abilities. She worried she wouldn't measure up to the younger, more confident students. But as she completed her first few assignments, something inside her reignited. The spark of creativity she thought she had lost came alive with every project. Clara found herself spending hours sketching layouts, choosing color palettes, and designing dream spaces in her mind. Her instructors praised her work, and her classmates admired her fresh perspective. Slowly but surely, Clara began to see herself in a new light. Not just as a struggling single mother, but as a talented, capable woman with a bright future. Meanwhile, Andrew's bond with Mia and Ella deepened. He became a constant source of joy and comfort for the girls, filling the void they had felt for so long. He played board games with them, patiently helping Ella learn the rules and cheering for Mia when she won. Homework sessions turned into moments of laughter as he made even the most boring math problems fun. And every night, he would sit by their beds, reading bedtime stories in silly voices that made them giggle until they fell asleep. Clara often watched these moments from a distance, her heart swelling with gratitude and a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Andrew wasn't just offering her help. He was giving her daughters the love and attention they had missed. Slowly, the walls Clara had built around her heart began to crack, and she allowed herself to imagine a life where hope and happiness weren't just distant dreams. As the weeks went on, Clara started to believe in herself again. She was no longer just surviving, she was rebuilding. With every design project she completed, with every moment of laughter shared with Mia and Ella, she felt a little closer to the person she used to be, the woman she thought she had lost forever. And through it all, Andrew was there, quietly cheering her on, reminding her that she was stronger and more capable than she had ever realized. Weeks turned into months, and Clara was beginning to regain her confidence. Her online courses were going well, Mia and Ella were thriving under Andrew's care, and the pieces of her life were slowly falling into place. But a shadow still lingered, the unresolved chapter of her past. Matt Harper, her ex-husband. Clara had tried to push the memories of his betrayal aside, but the need for financial stability for her daughters made her reconsider. She decided it was time to confront him, not for herself, but for Mia and Ella. One afternoon, Clara sat across from Andrew in the living room, her hands nervously clutching a piece of paper with Matt's contact information. I think it's time I reach out to Matt, she said hesitantly, her voice trembling. The girls deserve more, and he needs to take responsibility. Even if he doesn't care about me, he should care about them. Andrew's expression was calm but concerned. Are you sure, Clara? You've already come so far on your own. You don't need him to prove your worth. Clara nodded slowly. It's not about me, Andrew. It's about Mia and Ella. They deserve to know their father at least tried. With Andrew's support, Clara contacted Matt and arranged to meet him at a nearby cafe. She arrived early, her heart pounding in her chest as she waited for him. When Matt finally walked in, Clara barely recognized him. He was dressed in a designer suit, his watch gleaming under the light, and his expression exuded smug confidence. "Clara," he said, his tone indifferent as he sat across from her. "This is unexpected. What do you want?" Clara took a deep breath, steadying her voice. "I'm here because of Mia and Ella. They're your daughters, Matt, and they deserve your support. I'm not asking for anything for myself. This is about them." Matt leaned back in his chair, his expression cold and dismissive. "Clara, we've been through this. Whatever happened between us is in the past. I've moved on, and honestly, I don't see why I should get involved now. They're your responsibility." Clara's chest tightened as anger and disbelief surged through her. "They're your children, Matt. Don't you feel any obligation to help them, even a little?" But Matt's response was even colder. "You're the one who let this happen, Clara. Whatever struggles you're going through, that's on you. I've built my life, and I don't owe you, or them, anything." Clara's hands trembled, but she refused to let her emotions overwhelm her. She stood up, her voice firm despite the tears welling in her eyes. "You're right, Matt. You don't owe me anything. But someday, you'll realize that you've missed out on the most precious thing in the world, your daughters. And by then, it'll be too late." She turned and walked out of the cafe, her heart heavy but her resolve stronger than ever. As she stepped outside, the cool breeze reminded her of how far she had come without Matt's help. She didn't need him, and neither did her daughters. When Clara returned home, Andrew was waiting for her with a knowing look. She sat down beside him, her shoulders slumped but her voice steady. "He refused," she said simply. "He doesn't care, Andrew. He never did." Andrew placed a comforting hand on hers, his voice filled with warmth and sincerity. "Clara, you don't need him. Look at everything you've accomplished on your own. You've given Mia and Ella so much love and stability, and that's what matters. You're stronger than you think, and you've proven that every single day." Clara looked up at Andrew, his words sinking deep into her heart. She realized he was right. She didn't need Matt's approval or support to succeed. Everything she had done, every step forward, had been her own doing. With Andrew's reassurance, Clara felt a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced in years. From that day on, she resolved to let go of the past. Matt no longer held any power over her or her future. Instead, she poured her energy into her daughters and her dreams, determined to create a life filled with love, hope, and stability. For the first time in a long time, Clara felt in control of her destiny, and she wasn't looking back. Months passed, and Clara's life began to transform in ways she never thought possible. She completed her interior design course with flying colors, her creativity and passion reigniting with every project. Her instructors praised her unique vision, and word of her talent began to spread among friends and acquaintances. Before long, Clara started taking on small design projects, her confidence growing with each success. With every step, she felt more like the strong, independent woman she had once been, now standing even taller after all she had endured. Andrew continued to be her rock, supporting her every step of the way. Whether it was helping her with the girls, brainstorming ideas for her designs, or simply being there to listen, his quiet strength gave Clara the courage to keep pushing forward. Mia and Ella adored Andrew, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, as Andrew helped Mia with her homework and Ella sat on his lap, doodling in her notebook, a moment of magic unfolded. Ella looked up at him with her big, innocent eyes and said, "Dad, can you help me draw a house?" Her words hung in the air, and Andrew froze for a moment, his heart swelling with emotion. "Dad," Mia repeated softly, looking at him with a shy smile. "You're like a dad to us. Can we call you that?" Andrew's eyes glistened as he hugged both girls tightly. "Of course you can," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You girls mean the world to me." Clara watched the scene from the doorway, tears streaming down her face. She had spent so long fearing that her daughters would never know the love of a father, and now, Here was Andrew, filling that void with unwavering kindness and care. In that moment, she knew their family was finally complete. A few weeks later, Clara completed her first major design project. A local coffee shop that she had transformed into a warm, inviting space. Andrew hosted a small celebration at his home, inviting close friends, family, and a few of Clara's new clients. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and pride as Clara basked in the glow of her accomplishment. As the evening drew to a close, Andrew tapped his glass to get everyone's attention. Standing in front of the crowd, he looked at Clara with a mixture of love and admiration. Tonight, we're celebrating Clara's incredible talent and her determination to rebuild her life. But there's something else I'd like to celebrate. He turned toward Clara, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small velvet box. Clara's breath hitched as Andrew knelt down on one knee. Clara, you've shown me what it means to love selflessly, to persevere through life's hardest challenges, and to always put family first. You've made me a better man, and I want to spend the rest of my life making you and the girls as happy as you've made me. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down Clara's face as she looked at the man who had been her anchor, her partner, and her daughter's hero. Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. Yes, Andrew, I will. The room erupted in cheers and applause as Andrew slipped the ring onto Clara's finger and pulled her into a heartfelt embrace. Mia and Ella ran to join them, hugging both Clara and Andrew tightly, their giggles echoing through the room. In the months that followed, Clara and Andrew built a life filled with love, stability, and laughter. Clara's design career flourished, with her projects earning widespread praise. Andrew stepped back from his business to focus on their family, ensuring that Mia and Ella always felt supported and cherished. Their home became a haven of warmth and joy, with walls adorned with Mia and Ella's artwork and a garden they tended to as a family. Every corner of their life reflected the love they had built together. A love born from resilience, kindness, and second chances. As Clara and Andrew watched their daughters run through the yard one sunny afternoon, Clara reached for Andrew's hand and smiled. "I never thought I'd have this," she said softly. Andrew squeezed her hand gently. "You deserve this and so much more, Clara. We all do." Their journey wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. A testament to the power of love and the courage to start over. Together, they proved that even in the darkest times, hope could lead to a brighter, more beautiful future. If you enjoyed this heartfelt story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing tales. Your support keeps us going.